This is CBN Newswatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm Mark Martin. A deadly outbreak of tornadoes left a trail of destruction across the Deep South Monday. 3 people are confirmed dead and a dozen more injured after powerful storms roared through the region. Charlene Aaron has been following this story, and she joins us now with more. Charlene.
That's right, Mark. Some 23 tornadoes across 3 states. At least 3 people were killed when the storms touched down across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Officials say a 7-year-old boy is among those injured. The storms ripped through the area, leaving a path of destruction. Many towns have been left with impassable roads, snapped trees, damaged homes, and debris mangled in trees. One tornado traveled more than 60 miles across central Louisiana. In hardest-hit Alexandria, Louisiana, crews worked through the night in a cold rain to clear debris-strewn roadways where a school and several buildings, including a church, were severely damaged. Shelters were opened for those who had to flee their homes.
Me and her are standing by a closet, and everything's flying around us. Everything's caving in. Trees are coming through. And thank God we didn't stay in my room, because if we would have, it blew all the glass.
Glass all.
We would have had glass. We probably wouldn't be here to talk about this.
Meanwhile, more than 50 million people from Indiana to Maine are under winter storm advisories and warnings. Mark?
All right, Charlene, thanks for updating us. Joining us now is Weather Bell Chief Meteorologist Joe Bastardi. Joe, is it normal for winter storms or late fall storms to bring tornadoes?
Well, there's definitely a second season, Mark, and the reason that's happening is we've got to remember that the Gulf cools off much, much slower than the land masses do, and the jet stream starts strengthening as it does over the winter. And when these things start coming across like that, these strong upper disturbances, strong cold fronts, they seize on very warm, moist air relative to the overall pattern, and they produce tornadoes. Let's remember that you get temperatures yesterday were normal, let's say, for an April afternoon down there in the warm sector of that particular situation. And then you have true Canadian Arctic air going against it with the kind of dynamics we have aloft. December 3rd, 1978, we had a tornado, and this was absolutely horrible. I mean, this was horrible yesterday, but it went through at night. The Bossier City, Louisiana tornado did $100 million damage, and that came at night. And that's the other hideous thing about this second season. They ignore the time of day because it's not the kind of diurnal range day to night that you have during the springtime when you rely on the heating of the day. The warm, moist air is already there relative to the other dynamics that are going on to produce this situation. And of course, there was this storm to the north, which really caused a lot of what I call hallmark snow from Kansas City. You saw the football game on Sunday, all the way on up into northern and central New England. Further south, like for instance, where I live in Pennsylvania, it wasn't very hallmark with freezing rain. In fact, if you look out my window now, everything is encased in ice. So that was an ugly storm. That's moving away. Strong Arctic shock coming into the northeast tomorrow afternoon, Thursday and Friday. Down there at Virginia Beach, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get about freezing Thursday or Friday with that Arctic shock. But look, next week, for much of the country, for Christmas week, it's going to get nice and mild. And it's going to be great because if we can get it that way, it'll be easier on travelers. And it'll be a temporary thing because once we get to the new year and beyond, I think January is going to be a wild winter month in the United States.
Yeah, very, very true. The video we're looking at is just incredible, like of the tornadoes, the snow, the ice. I guess Charlene's report said 23 tornadoes. That number seems really high to me, but can that be expected at this time of the year too?
Well, you can get that. I mean, the atmosphere doesn't care what time of the year it is. It cares about, I don't think it cares about anything, but it performs according to what the parameters are that can do that. And you can get that type of thing at this time of the year. We have exceptionally warm water in the Gulf of Mexico and off the eastern part of the United States. And that exceptionally warm water, believe it or not, during the winter season, if there's a lot of cold air that's going to be around, won't cause tornadoes, but you'll get snowstorms fairly deep into the south. In fact, it would not shock me if next week there's going to be a very bad storm in the Gulf of Mexico for this time of the year. Not a tornadic storm, a cold, windy rainstorm, gale force winds, a nor'easter for the South Atlantic states, for instance, would not shock me if there was actually some snow and sleet seen in the mountains of the Carolinas and maybe even southern Arkansas, something like that with that. There's an old saying in the Carolinas, I know, because I used to forecast the weather of the Carolinas. You get thunderstorms in winter, 8 or 9 days later it snows. So perhaps that's a test coming up there too.
Wow, so some folks that are not used to this might see a white Christmas. All right, they definitely need to stay indoors, though, that is for sure. Thank you, Joe. Weather Bell meteorologist Joe Bastardi. Blessings to you, sir.
Blessings to you. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. A big day in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. The House of Representatives will likely vote on impeachment articles against President Donald Trump. Trump faces 2 articles of impeachment, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. 51 votes are required to either call witnesses in a longer Senate trial or directly move to a vote on the impeachment. Many Republicans say they've already heard enough to push for a short Senate trial with no witnesses, but Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer wants testimonies from Mick Mulvaney, Robert Blair, John Bolton, and Michael Duffy, witnesses the White House blocked from testifying in the House.
Right now, I think the House has amassed a great deal of evidence, much of it in the form of testimony from the President's own appointees, that the President committed impeachable offenses. But a good number of my Republican colleagues have said they believe the charges are serious, but there isn't enough evidence yet for them to make a decision. We believe these witnesses and documents would provide the evidence they're looking for without being dilatory or letting the trial drag on for too long.
This is the 4th time in history Congress has moved to impeach a president. If he were convicted by the Senate, Trump would be the first to be removed. Be sure to catch up on the latest from our nation's capital this evening on Faith Nation. You can watch it right here on the CBN News Channel. Boeing has announced it will temporarily stop producing its 737 MAX jet, which was grounded in March. The company says they are struggling to get approval from regulators to put the plane back in the air. Starting in January, production will halt at its plant with 12,000 employees in Renton, Washington. The company says it currently is not planning to lay off any of the workers, but will reassign them to work on other planes and plants in the area. The FAA said last week that Boeing had unrealistic expectations for getting the plane back into service.
Everybody at Boeing be the first to acknowledge that major mistakes were made, both on their part and the part of the FAA regulators, not being completely forthcoming about the problems. And that's really exasperated the current problem because new information keeps coming out, adds to the soap opera effect on this, and concerns about the airworthiness of the plane.
The aircraft was the cause of devastating crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia that killed a total of 346 people. Overseas, Britain's Conservative government plans to pass legislation aimed at limiting the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel. The new law would prevent public bodies from working with groups that boycott Israel. Lord Eric Pickles, Britain's special envoy that is, for post-Holocaust issues, called BDS anti-Semitic. This comes after British Prime Minister Boris Johnson won a landslide victory last week. His opponent, Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, was accused of being an anti-Semite, and his party's manifesto pledges to recognize the state of Palestine. The BDS movement, which aims to force Israel into changing its policies toward the Palestinians through financial pressure, thrives in Europe. Coming up, we're exploring the health secrets of people who live to be 100. See what you need to know to stay healthy. But before we go to break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back to Newswatch. People over the age of 100, believe it or not, are the fastest growing segment of the population. Right now, there are about 500,000 centenarians worldwide. The United States has the most with 72,000. And as CBN Health reporter Lori Johnson shows us, there are specific steps you can take to live a longer, healthier life.
Studies from the United Nations predict the world will have more than 3 million people age 100 or older in just 30 years. That's good news, unless many of that population suffer from declining health.
We base a lot of our behaviors thinking that this is what's going to happen to us. But in fact, that doesn't have to happen.
Expert on aging, Dr. Stephen Gundry knows what it takes to live a vibrant, disease-free life well into old age.
What we know about super old people who are thriving is that they don't become infirm, that they don't get cancer, that they don't get Alzheimer's. These people actually have the physiology, have the workings of a 50-year-old individual.
In his book, The Longevity Paradox, How to Die Young at a Ripe Old Age, Dr. Gundry zeroes in on the things that set healthy centenarians apart from their sicker counterparts. Topping the list, plenty of good bacteria in their intestines.
It's amazing. Again, when we look at 105-year-old people around the world, they carry the diverse gut microbiome of 30-year-old people.
Having enough of the right bacteria can prevent just about every type of disease, including inherited ones.
Whether we turn genes on or off with information, and that's called epigenetics or epigenomics, and it's that interplay with actually a lot of the material that comes from our microbiome telling our genes what to do.
Dr. Gundry says the key is avoiding processed foods because of the chemical ingredients, especially the pesticide glyphosate.
It's probably the biggest health problem that people are unaware of. It's in all of our products, all of our cereals, all of our breads, all of our crackers. A recent study of 35 oat products in the United States found glyphosate, including some very dangerous levels, in every one of the oat products, including many of our kids' cereals, including our granola.
Gundry says glyphosate can wipe out good bacteria and even cause a leaky gut.
You will actually make perforations in the wall of your gut, and bacterial particles and plant compounds and toxins will get right through the wall of your gut.
This can lead to migraines, chronic fatigue, and autoimmune diseases like celiac. In addition to eating right, robust old-timers also go without food altogether for long periods of time. Fasting a minimum of 12 hours a day can trigger the body to eliminate whatever hinders survival.
And so fasting or intermittent fasting gives us an opportunity to really get all the best cells all the time. And that's what we all want.
Another common characteristic of healthy centenarians is they take few drugs or none at all. While many people, such as diabetics, take specific medication, Gundry maintains healthier choices can even reverse that need.
I have yet to meet a type 2 diabetic who I can't get off of all medications by teaching them how to eat. I haven't met a person who takes a statin drug to lower cholesterol that I can't get off a statin once I teach them how to eat.
Dr. Gundry adds antibiotics and common painkillers can harm the gut microbiome, with even something like an antacid leading to other problems.
And so I see so many people with dementia and congestive heart failure who've been taking these drugs chronically.
Finally, exercise helps keep bodies working no matter how old a person is. It improves blood flow, particularly to the brain. Women who exercise routinely during their lifespan have a 90% reduction in Alzheimer's compared to women who don't. Muscles strengthen bones, preventing injury. Turns out walking against gravity, whether up or down, is especially good exercise because it works this area of the body, which contains most of our muscle mass. In fact, the 5 cities worldwide with the highest concentration of healthy centenarians are all very hilly. Those cities are in what's known as blue zones. The only one in America is Loma Linda, which means beautiful hill. This California city is not only home to the largest concentration of centenarians in the U.S., but also the largest concentration of Seventh-day Adventists. That denomination avoids processed food and drugs while embracing fasting and exercise. Years ago, Dr. Gundry practiced heart surgery in Loma Linda and was so inspired by the people here that he shifted his focus to teaching the rest of the world how to live strong to a ripe old age. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
To hear from health experts and learn more on how you can better take care of your body, tune into our Healthy Living Show. It's tonight at 9:30 Eastern, and it's only on the CBN News Channel. Up next, we're going to tell you more about the gifted composer of a popular song about our Savior that's sung all over the world this Christmas season.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts, in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network. featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Choirs perform Handel's Messiah all over the world this time of the year, but how much is known about this work and the man behind it? Several years ago, I traveled to London to learn more about this devout Christian composer and his work that is a holiday classic. For many, Christmas wouldn't be complete without witnessing or taking part in a performance of Handel's Messiah. From the Virginia Symphony in the U.S. to the heart of the Holy Land, Jerusalem. It is felt across the globe. To learn more about the gifted composer of Messiah, our journey takes us to Europe. German-born George Frederick Handel moved into this house on Brook Street in London, England in his late 30s. Handel considered himself an opera composer, but public interest was waning in England, and by 1741, a discouraged Handel wondered if retirement was near.
Some people do think that at this point it was kind of like a career crisis, really, and that it's quite possible that he was thinking of returning to Germany.
That's when this man, Charles Jennens, handed him the words or libretto of Messiah. Jennens, a literary scholar, carefully selected Old and New Testament scriptures documenting prophecies about the Messiah, Jesus' birth, death on the cross, and resurrection.
The Christian message is in part also a response to the kind of growing interest in what is known as deism.
Since the deists did not believe in the divinity of Christ, Jennens sought to counter that thinking.
For Jennens, I think Messiah was a very personal passion, a very personal mission. Jennens was a deeply religious man, a very committed Christian.
We find Jennens writing to another friend of his saying, I've done this scripture collection for Handel, and I hope he will expend his best efforts on it so that it becomes his best oratorio, because it's certainly on the best subject. The subject is Messiah.
Here is Handel's composition room, where he is believed to have composed Messiah. He wrote the oratorio in only 24 days. Many believe it was divinely inspired. One music scholar described the number of errors in the 259-page score as incredibly low for a composition of its length. Handel reportedly never left his house during those 3 weeks, and a friend who visited discovered him sobbing with intense emotion. After he wrote the Hallelujah Chorus, reports quote him as saying, "I did think I did see all heaven before me and the great God himself." For Jennens and Handel, Messiah would be an evangelistic tool to share the gospel with the masses. They even made the controversial decision to perform Messiah in theaters instead of churches to reach a wider audience, including the performers themselves. Handel used secular singer-actresses to perform the solos, such as Susanna Maria Sibber, a woman with an adulterous past, but who is described as being able to penetrate the heart with her voice, when other more skilled vocalists could only reach the ear.
He touches people on every possible level, whether it be on a spiritual level or musical level or dramatic level. There's something in Messiah for everybody, and of course for an audience.
If you look at the YouTube flash mob Hallelujah choruses, you will see that hits are currently running at about 43 million. Now, I doubt if all those people are Protestant Christians. And if you just watch some of those flash mob hallelujahs, you can see in, the people listening in the shopping mall and so on, you can see the change coming over their faces as they listen, and they are greatly moved.
Performances were often benefit concerts to help release people from debtor's prison and provide for orphans in London's well-known Foundling Hospital. One scholar wrote, Messiah has fed the hungry, clothed the naked, fostered the orphan more than any other single musical production in this or any country. However, George Frederick Handel did not want the credit. At the end of Messiah, Handel wrote the letters SDG, Soli Deo Gloria, which means to God alone the glory. Mark Martin, CBN News, London.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Louisiana State University Joe Burrow's Heisman Trophy acceptance speech is helping thousands of Ohioans living in poverty. In his speech, Burrow spoke about the poverty in Southeast Ohio where he grew up.
And I'm up here for all those kids in Athens and in Athens County that, go home to not a lot of food on the table, hungry after school.
That simple statement led to thousands of donations to the Athens County Food Bank, as well as a fundraiser that's received more than $260,000 in donations. That's awesome. What a humble guy there. Well, that's it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.